So I'm gonna start reading 50 Shades of Grey. There's a lot of hype around it, people either love it or hate it, and I kind of wanted to, just give it a go. The first line of the book is I scowl in frustration at myself in the mirror. So basically she has unruly brown hair, she's pale, she has blue eyes that are too big for her face. She's a little bit of a wallflower, she's clumsy, she's self-conscious. Her friend Catherine was supposed to do this interview, but Catherine is sick, and Anna, who's our main character, is gonna fill in. You don't actually find out Anna's name until 3 pages in, and you don't find out that her whole name is Anastasia Steele until she actually gets to the place where she's doing the interview. With Christian Grey, he's a benefactor to the university and an entrepreneur, and he has this massive global conglomerate business. I'm not too sure what they do. She starts off early, the roads are clear, she borrows the Mercedes, and still she arrives just in the nick of time. After she arrives at this very intimidating building and is approached by this very intimidating blonde, she's given a visitor pass, and she smirks at the visitor pass and is like, of course I'm a visitor, I don't belong here, because she's met one person and the building's intimidating, so I guess that means that she's not gonna fit in there. And then comes the best line I've ever read in a book. The elevator whisks me with terminal velocity to the 20th floor. The elevator whisks her with terminal velocity to the 20th floor. That's amazing. There's a lot of detail about space and surroundings. She mentions sandstone a lot. I'm confronted by another desk of sandstone and another young blonde woman dressed impeccably in black and white who rises to greet me. She is very judgmental and catty. She doesn't like the fact that these women are blonde and dressed well for some reason. As she's going into Christian's office, she falls and she's on her hands and knees in his office doorway and he helps her up. Finally, when she's on her feet, she forces herself to look at him and he's really young. Holy cow, he's so young, in fact. And he extends a long-fingered hand to her. A long-fingered hand. So young and attractive, very attractive. He's tall, dressed in a fine gray suit, white shirt, and black tie with unruly dark copper-colored hair and intense bright gray eyes that regard me shrewdly. And she asks the first question and then doesn't like his answer even though it's very businesslike. And for some reason she thinks he's arrogant even though he hasn't really done or said anything, but he does fix her with his gray stare. And then she gets real bitchy and she's all like, you sound like a control freak, after he answers another question. Oh, I exercise control in all things, Miss Steele. I look at him and he holds my gaze steadily, impassive, my heartbeat quickens and my face flushes again. Why does he have such an unnerving effect on me? His overwhelming good looks, maybe? The way his eyes blaze at me? The way he strokes his index finger against his lower lip? I wish he'd stop doing that. And then it goes so far as to, my mouth drops open. I'm staggered by his lack of humility. Don't you have a board to answer to, I asked, disgusted? And there's so much going on with the eyes and the staring. I'm confounded and heated by his steady gaze. His eyes are alight with some wicked thought. And then he changes the table and wants to question her, even when his assistant comes in and was like, hey, 2 more minutes and you have another interview. He's like, I'm not done here, reschedule. And he asks her what she plans on doing after she graduates and she's like, I don't really have a plan. And he's like, well, I have an internship here. Doesn't even know this girl. She thanks him for the interview and the pleasure's been all his. And then he stands and holds out his hand. Until we meet again, Miss Steele. And it sounds like a challenge or a threat, I'm not sure which. I frown. When will we ever meet again? And then his long index finger presses the button summoning the elevator and we stand waiting. His long index finger. Like I'm picturing like alien fingers. That's how long his index finger is to me. And so it ends. The doors open and I hurry in, desperate to escape. I really need to get out of here. When I turn to look at him, he's leaning against the doorway beside the elevator with one hand on the wall. He really is very, very good looking. It's distracting. His burning gray eyes gaze at me. Anastasia, he says as a farewell. Christian, I reply. And mercifully, the doors close. So summing it up, I'm not all that impressed with Anastasia Steele. I personally don't really mind Christian Grey. All you really have is that Anna is a little bit of a wallflower, a little bit of a bee, judgmental, and Christian is a control freak, apparently. And there's some sort of connection between the two of them, even though I don't understand why. It's there in the book. So that's it for chapter 1. I hope you all enjoyed this, and I also hope to see you all again next week for another edition of That Girl Tyson.
General quarters, all hands man your battle stations, all hands man your battle stations.
He really is beautiful. He smiles, revealing perfect white teeth. I stop breathing. He really is beautiful. No one should be this good looking. Has she started breathing again?